Welcome my friends, Evan Gray here. Thank you for joining me for this episode. This episode's mostly an update since it's been a little while since I posted something. And let's roll the intro and get into it. Right now I'm camped in Arizona, a little bit west of Phoenix, and it is just gorgeous out here. Really nice, perfect weather. It's been really great. I'm in a great area with access to a city, and there's even a cell phone tower just nearby me. Let me give you an update of what's going on with the truck and the trailer. One of the challenges that I've had recently is getting the carpet installed. I did a video earlier where I talked about the carpet install, and I did some basic sizing on it, realized that it was cut too large and didn't have any of the holes that were needed for all of the bolts to go through to hold the seats and other stuff down. So in that video, I said I was going to hire a service to install the carpet for me. So immediately after that video, I went into the city. I was north of Denver, and I started getting quotes from places to install it. They all quoted me around $800 plus or minus a little bit to do the carpet install. And that was with the seats pulled out, the interior basically bare like you saw in previous videos. And I just thought that was ridiculous price to pay for cutting a few holes and trimming the carpet, especially when, the interior had been pretty much pulled out. So I decided to watch some YouTube videos and do it myself. Well, that's taken a lot longer than I expected. Let me show you where I'm at right now. Okay, here you can see I have the carpet in. I've laid it in best I could. And I started trimming up here right as it goes over the hump here and up against the dash. So I had to trim a section out there 2 or 3 inches, get everything fitting correctly, and get this plastic piece which goes under the feet positioned where I think it needs to go. I still need to trim this edge here right along the front, and I did figure out the last few wires that I had, and those actually go to the seat belt. Let me explain how I know that. Because I found this on the new seats that I purchased. This was plugged into the plug on the bottom side. And as you can see, there are 3 wires here. The 2 wires that I had that were thicker were a green wire, like you see here, a black wire, like you see here. And then I had 4 wires, which are black with a small blue stripe, which is this 3rd wire. Now this actually hooks up to the seat belt. So what I think this is the green wire and black wire run the power seats that I had in the previous seats before these that were stolen. I had power seats that move it forwards and backwards and up and down and stuff like that. So I think this green and black wire went for that. Now this last wire here, the black with the thin stripe, there's 4 of those. I believe those are all for the seatbelt sensor. So anyway, that's what these are for. So I have to do a little bit of trimming left. I think that this is cut oversized. You can see it's probably about a foot too long because I think they use the same carpet seat for the crew cab, which is a little bit longer. So anyway, I still have to trim this back here. I'm going to hold off on that until I'm sure what goes on the back panel. I didn't get any response before what goes back here, but I did find somebody with a similar truck, and there was a plastic panel that's molded that is contoured and goes around all of this, and I think that just goes on the back here. So I'll have to look in a junkyard, a salvage yard, and find one of those panels, and then once I have the panel, then I'll trim this piece back here. One of the challenges I had was cutting the holes for these bolts. So these are perfectly circular holes that I've cut. And I watched a video tutorial on how to do that. So what you have to do is to get a blowtorch, heat up a pipe that's the correct diameter. And once it's hot enough, then you just put it on the carpet and it goes down and you sort of turn it back and forth, twirl it, and it just sort of burrows and melts a hole through the carpet. So I had a little bit of a delay, several days actually, in that I found the torch from Harbor Freight, purchased it, came back here to the camp, and tried to hook up to my propane bottle, but it's a different size connection. Well, it just so happens that it fits the green bottles, the small bottles that you use for propane things. I didn't have any of those, so I went back in town, bought some, came back out, And then I couldn't seem to keep the propane torch lit. It would just keep going out and going out. Probably had to do with the pressure being different from the intended bottle. But anyway, I managed to finally work my way through that and get those little holes cut. So anyway, I'm nearing the end of getting the seats reinstalled, and the new seats are great. I've pulled out the seat belts that were in here before, and I'm using the seat belts that are a part of the seats. So you can see these new seats have integrated built-in seat belts. And so the year after mine, I think 2002 or 2001, they switched to this model. So the newer seats have the integrated system, but they still fit in my truck. So anyway, that's where I've spent most of my time. The other part of my time is gathering pieces and parts for my next project, which is enclosing the back of the cargo trailer. So I purchased some metal studs that I'm going to be using to build a wall to go around my new sliding glass door. When I was in Home Depot picking up other pieces and parts, I just started doing research on sliding glass doors, and they had one on clearance. It was half price, down from, I don't know, like $550 or something like that, maybe $600 to half price. Anyway, this was $250, something like that. And I've mounted this against my wall of my cargo trailer, but you can see this sliding glass door that I've purchased. It's 6 feet wide. The opening back there is 8.5. So I'm going to have a little over maybe 8 inches on each side that will go out here. No, maybe a foot, a little over a foot on each side to the right and the left, and that will go in the back. The trailer came with this big ramp back here, and this will be a full-time deck. I will probably be making permanent cables that will go from the corner here to up there to make it a perfect height and level every single time instead of having jacks. But I haven't decided on that, so I may end up getting some sort of scissor jacks or something like that that I can extend out and make it the right height. The problem is this is such a far distance from there all the way to there that sometimes, depending on the hill I'm on, this distance might need to be pretty high up, higher than the jacks, and then I'd need a whole bunch of blocks. So I think the cable system is going to be the better solution. So this entire area here in the back, pretty much the entire thing will be that sliding glass door, and then a foot of edging around each side, and then probably a 1.5 feet on the top up here. So that's going to enclose in the back, so when I drive I'll shut the ramp and it'll protect the glass. When I get to my destination, lower this down, and this will be a full-time deck when I'm parked, and I'll be waterproofing all this material here. I may end up getting some sort of deck material to put on top, like the coin plastic mat to go up here, or maybe, I don't know, fake grass or something. I haven't decided what I'm going to do there, but this will become a full-time deck. Maybe eventually I'll enclose it with some sort of railing or something. I've seen that done in other builds. I have a bunch of construction materials, very similar to what I did with the step van and building as I go on public lands. And basically it's ratchet strapped up to the side, sheets of insulation and plywood. Well, apparently they broke loose. Here you can see the disaster that's happened. All of it was originally against this wall over here, and it fell down over to this side. Doesn't look like there's any damage, but this is going to take probably 45 minutes to an hour to get all of this back up into place and secured. I'm not sure why it broke loose. I have the boards mostly back up against the wall and found the culprit. This is one side of the ratchet strap, and apparently the D-ring broke away from the wall, so must have hit a pretty big bump. There was a couple of big bumps when I came in on the road going near cattle guards. So anyway, need to resecure this, maybe do double ratchet straps this time so that this doesn't happen again. It's the next day, and I just got to show you this. I'm inside my trailer here, just laying down, reading a little bit, and I hear this scraping outside of my trailer, and I'm like, what is going on? So I walk out here to the rear deck and peek around, and you'll never guess what I see over here. Let me show you. Over here just down at the edge of my trailer is a very large tortoise trying to crawl underneath my trailer where it's shaded. And it's not quite able to do it because its shell, the tortoise shell, is too large, and so it won't quite fit. So it's sort of stuck and it's scraping along the edge, which was the noise I heard right next to my bed. And I had thought somebody was messing with my trailer. Well, it turns out I was right. It's a tortoise. Here's the tortoise a little bit closer. And I guess he actually can get under there, but it's going to be a tight fit. And he's probably not going to be able to raise up on his legs in order to get under there. The tortoise is now coming right over to my door. I think maybe somebody's been feeding this tortoise, and so it's used to coming to the humans to get some food. That is my theory anyway. Otherwise, why in the world would the tortoise come out just right next to my doorway where I'm sitting at? That just seems like it's learned how to do that. Can you hear the coyotes in the background? Every night I have this experience of the coyotes just coming around my trailer here and yipping and yowling. Saw one of them during daylight hours as I was pulling in, but I didn't have my camera handy. Thank you so much for joining me for this video. I hope you enjoyed seeing the visitors to my camp. Savor the moment, and I'll see you in a future video.